Welcome back to the Best Self Diary, where I once a week sit down and go over the most impactful ideas and principle that has had the biggest impact on me throughout the week and that hopefully will benefit us in making our dreams a reality and getting us closer to our best self. And this week and in this session, we are going to cover a lot of different topics, but really dive into certain principles and ideas regarding ourselves and our understanding of ourselves. And more in depth, we're really going to cover how we can build unwavering confidence and always be able to show up the way we want to and show up in a manner that is progressing us and moving or having us make progress and make us move forward towards where we want to go in our dreams, and also get into the reality of discipline and what true discipline really is and what discipline even means. So, without further ado, let's get into this episode of the Best Self Diary. So, first off, diving into our understanding of ourselves and who we really are and who we want to be. The first principle and idea I want to present you is the idea that the story you tell about yourself to yourself is truly the greatest thing you will ever have to create. Because this story that you keep telling yourself in your own mind as to who you really are and to what you can do and your beliefs revolving yourself and your abilities, it is truly a story that is simply made up in our minds, right? Of course, it is made up from experience and from evidence, and that's how we change our story. But most of this story is simply living inside of our heads. It is not created by the outside world or what happens and doesn't happen or the events we're going through, but rather our thoughts and our perspective and perception of how we are really a part of the world around us. And this idea that we get to create our own story is so powerful because we are really the main character in our own story, right? And a lot of people have this perception that a lot of others and majority of others think a lot about us and have a lot of opinions about us. But if you really get into it, I believe most people have no opinion about you. And simply, if they have an opinion, it's very temporary and momentarily lived, because ask yourself, right? Do you not have enough to think about, right? Do you not have enough going on in your mind to be sitting around and thinking about other people, right? Once in a while, you see something, and of course, it sparks a reaction or an opinion comes forward from your mind regarding the situation or person or circumstance, but it's short lived, right? And then you move on and you move back to your own story and to your own self and thinking about yourself, not in a manner that's egocentric, but simply because we are our own main character and our story revolves around us and your story revolves around you. So, this is the most important part of the story we are creating, that we are the main character and we can truly shape ourselves and this story to our likings. As with any book or with any story in general, there will always be chapters that we have gone through and that we cannot rewrite, but maybe we can reread them and we can visit them and we can learn from them and we can see different perspectives that we didn't see before, and we can, you know, change our mind about certain aspects of this story, because new discoveries does not lie in exploring new territories, but rather in exploring known territories with new eyes, right? It's about finding new discoveries in old exploration. And that's really how you change your perception of the story you have already written and the chapters that are already written. But that doesn't hinder you from rewriting the story going forward, right? You can shape the story going forward exactly how you wish to have it and to create it and to make it and to mold it. And This is the principle that the story you tell about yourself is the most important thing you will ever have to create. Of course, it is also how you present yourself and who you are and how you carry yourself, but this is the story that lives inside your mind. That what you're telling yourself and what you believe is ultimately what will be true, because our thoughts create our emotions create our reality, right? It creates our actions, and our actions create our reality. So it all stems from our thoughts. So what you think about yourself, what you think to be true, what you believe you can and cannot do is what will be true, right? I think it's Denzel Washington that said, or maybe it might just be accredited to him, but whether you believe you can or you cannot, you will probably be right? Because what you believe is often what will be true. If you believe that you are not sufficient at this and that you could improve in this and that you are not good enough for this, well, that's what you will see. Because what you focus on you will see, and what you focus on will also grow, right? But if you instead see, I'm learning and I'm still becoming better at this, and every day I'm progressing, or saying that this is not my strongest forte and this is not my strength, but it is something I'm still honing in on and becoming better at, right? Then you will see ways to become better. Then you will see ways that you're making progress, because you will always see what it is that you're looking for. So, as with the story you're creating for yourself, by yourself, of yourself, and telling yourself, it is made up of what you look for. It is made up of what you think, and therefore what grows, right? So if you want to change the story about yourself that you're telling yourself, you have to change your beliefs about what you look for. And beliefs are very often created from simply our minds and our fantasy and our imagination or our conditioning, right? But it is also created from our evidence. So if you want to change your evidence that you can do something or you cannot do something, start small and start by changing the evidence, because then you will change the belief. And then you will change the story that you're telling about yourself. Because it is rooted in fantasy, but it is backed up by evidence. So change your beliefs about what you can and cannot do and align them with what you want them to be. And then start changing your evidence in order to back up this belief and to enforce this belief, because then you will change the story. And this really goes well with the second principle that has been major in this week for me. And I even created a post about it, which is the idea that the most important promises you make that you should always keep are the promises you make to yourself. Because these are the promises our stories are built upon. We are not who we think we are. We are not who we say we are. We are what we do. And that means in order to be who you want to be, you have to do the things you say you will do. You have to keep the promises that you made to yourself. And that's the story part of it, because this is the part where you build the evidence. When you say you're going to wake up early in the morning, or you are going to do a run in the weekend, or you're going to ride for an hour, or you are going to do a reflection session for half an hour on Sunday, right? If you don't do it, you will start to lose trust in yourself. You will start to fall behind on your own word, and your word will start to lose its weight. And that means that every time you will say something that you will do this or you will do that, you will not believe it. You will not find it important enough to actually keep your word. But if you are someone that is telling a story about yourself to yourself, that you stick to your word, you keep your word, you keep your promises to yourself, then your words will have a lot more weight. That when you say, I will show up tomorrow, no matter what, you find a way to do it. That's how you build your character. That's how you build out your actions and behavior to align with the person you want to be. You start with figuring out who you want to be, and then you see, how do I do this? And then you stick up for it, then you stand for it, and you keep showing up for it. The next idea is that when you look in the mirror and you ask yourself, I think you already know what you have to do in order to show up, in order to stick to your promise, and in order to create the story you want around yourself. When you look in the mirror, you know what step you have to take. You don't know perhaps what the entire journey looks like. You don't know what the next 5 steps look like. But you don't have to see the entire staircase in order to take the next step. You can take the next step even though you don't know what is behind that step or after that step. But when you elevate to the next step, you will have a new foundation, a new level of sight that you can then see further with and you can see the new possibilities with. So no matter where you are, focus on taking the next step. Not the 5 next steps, not to have an amazing plan or a bulletproof plan that will get you exactly where you want to go, but having this North Star and direction and plan will always help you. But no matter where you are, you can always take the next step. No matter where you are, there's always one step you can take. And when you change your mind and your perception of success to be, I'll just take the next step, that is when you start making progress. Because you will never find this perfection. You will never have a perfect or bulletproof plan, but you can always take just one more step. And I know you are not in the beginning of your journey, but Lao Tzu said that the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And even though you are not starting out, every step will always be the beginning of a new journey, right? Every door you close will always open up new possibilities. So you might not be in the beginning of your journey, but the next step you take might present to you opportunities and possibilities that you have never even conceived to be possible before, or conceived to be a reality. And that is the power and importance of taking just the next step and always just taking the next step because you do not know what lies behind this step or after this step. So no matter what you are or where you are, excuse me, take the next step. You can always take the next step. The next idea still is going into this notion of understanding ourselves and how we actually get closer to who we want to be. Because I've mentioned it already throughout this session already, and it is one of the core philosophies of the best self mind. And that is the power of showing up. Because in order to create the story you want to, in order to keep the promises you make to yourself, and in order to take the next step that you know you have to take when you look in the mirror, you have to understand the principle of showing up. And so many people, majority of people are failing their successes and hindering themselves from the successes they could have. And do not fulfill their potential because they don't believe in it, because they do not understand the principle of showing up. They think that when you say, I am going to do a half an hour reflection on Sunday, you should first and foremost always strive to keep this promise. But in the way and in the sense that you are not able to keep this promise, maybe even because of outside expectations or circumstances, rather, you can always do something. And something will always be better than nothing. So no matter if you said you wanted to do, let's say you wanted to do half an hour of reflection this Sunday and check in on your life and your progress, right? If you cannot do half an hour, why not just do 10 or 15 minutes? Because something will always be better than nothing. 50% will always be better than 0%. And we are not robots. We are not cyborgs or AI structures. We are human beings, and we are not able to show up 100% of the time. No person, not even the most disciplined version of yourself, will be able to show up 100% of the time. You cannot find perfection. But by making progress, the idea and the goal and the pursuit and always wanting to show up the best you can, showing up with as many percent as you can of your capability, then you will get closer to perfection. But if you live from all or nothing and from 100% or no percent and say, I'm not able to do a 30-minute reflection session on this Sunday, so I will simply skip it and I will do 1 hour next Sunday. What happens when you come to next Sunday and you do not have this hour? This is how you break the promises with yourself and you start to lose trust in your own word. And this is how you never make and take the steps that are needed for you in order to actually get closer to the version of yourself you want to be. So do yourself the favor and practice progress and practice showing up always. Showing up and doing what you said first and foremost. To 100% if it's possible. Always strive for the 100%, not for perfection, but for keeping your promise. But if you are not able to do that, simply keep your promise by showing up. Make your promise about the input, the showing up part, and not the output. I can give you a real life example that I today, Saturday, while recording this, before recording this, had the vision of doing a run today. I always start my Saturday mornings off with a earn the weekend run because running for me is such an obstacle, but it is such a big step for me to overcome, to close the gap from who I am and who I want to be, and close the gap in present tense, that I know after I will be a better version of myself. I will have set myself up for something better. And every time I go to this run and I start off, my mind starts spinning 100 miles an hour and producing reasons as to why I shouldn't be doing this. And often good reasons, right? Today is an incredible busy day in my schedule, but still, it does not hold me back from finding just some time to show up. So even though I had a goal of, you know, you could have a goal of saying, I wanted to run for an hour, I wanted to run 8 kilometers or 10 kilometers. Showing up and running 5 is so much better than coming up with an excuse for just not running. It is as simple as that. Because once you show up, you will start to find more energy. You will start to find more reason. You will start to find more drive. Because once I got going, that was when my best self mind kicked in and said, we got this. You did it. You showed up for yourself. You are the main character and you're building out your own story. You're creating your own arc. You are the creator of your reality. You are the creator of your future and who you want to be. But it all starts with showing up. You have to show up as this person, no matter how hard or difficult it is. And no matter if you can do the full 100% or not, showing up is the important part because consistency will always outperform perfection. Make consistency and progress and showing up your goal. Make the goal to show up and not to hit an external goal because that goalpost will always move. But if you always hit the goal of showing up, you will always move and you will always keep moving and keep progressing. Moving on to some different ideas of how we can actually build this character out and the confidence within and the discipline needed to actually show up in this way. The next principle is really about confidence and that how confidence is not about being good or being great or being better than others in any domain of life, but really about knowing yourself. Confidence is really about authenticity. It is really about knowing who you are and being able to show up as yourself, not wearing a mask and not needing to overcompensate or seek validation from something that you are not. Confidence is knowing who you are and believing in who you are. And that is why every point that we have gone through so far in this session has been so important for our confidence. That creating your story, that showing up for yourself and keeping the promises you make to yourself is what builds confidence. It is the confidence in your ability to do what you said you would do. And that moves us forward to the next idea of discipline, right? What is discipline truly? What does discipline even mean? And what does it mean to be disciplined? For me, discipline is many, many things, but I think discipline is the ability or the equation of discipline you could call to be the ability to do what you said you would do despite how you're feeling, right? That is discipline. And discipline is tough. Discipline is hard. It is, its frequency is not out of love. Its frequency is out of, I have to do this. And that is a mistake, I think. Because when you truly look at it and have a clear direction for where you're going in your life, and that you know you are moving closer towards where you want to go, and that discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to go, between who you are and the best version of yourself you want to become, then you understand that discipline is truly the highest form of self-love. It is loving the journey. It is loving where you're going. There's a great saying that says that gratitude is the appreciation of where you are, but discipline is the appreciation of where you're going, right? And I think you should have both. You should have the discipline to do what you have to do in order to continue your journey and get closer to where you want to go. But you should be grateful along the journey. You should be enjoying the climb towards the mountain, not the mountain peak, but across the mountain. And once in a while, stop and look out the mountain sides and see how far you've already come. And that's gratitude. But discipline is the ability to say, no, we have to keep going. We have to continue because it is in the pursuit that we find happiness. And discipline is what allows us to continue the pursuit and allows us to build the bridge between where we are and where we want to go, right? So when you change your perception of discipline to be, I have to do this, to, I want to do this, to, this is the highest form of self-love and self-respect and self-care I can actually make, I can actually have, then you change the entire energy of discipline and you change the entire frequency of discipline to not be something that you have to do, but to something you want to do, that you get to do, that allows you to do what you want to do most. And discipline is really the choice of choosing what you want most over what you want in the future and what you want now. Because there's a saying that goes that choose what you want in the future over what you want now. But if you always choose what you want in the future, you will never get there. So why don't you choose what you want most? Because I am sure that a lot of things that you want most are already right in front of you. They are already all around you. You just have to see it and you just have to let yourself be exposed to them and take them into your mind, into your heart and make them a reality. And most of it is already a reality, right? You do not need huge success in order to be validated or to be loved. You have people around you that loves you already. So why are you chasing it, right? Everything is all around you already. You just have to see it. So focus on what you want most over what you want now and what you want in the future. And that is really discipline. Discipline is the ability to do that, to focus on what you want most. And often that is what you want in the future, but it is also what you want now. It is what you want most in the now. Because when you adhere to your emotions and say, no, I want to rest, and of course, rest is very important. So let's use a different example or a different word that is more accurate to my thought. When you want to be off, or you want to be distracted, or you want to feel validated, that is an emotion speaking that what you have a need for right now. It is not what you want most. But you can still find rest in the present because you want rest as something that you want the most. Rest is important, right? So saying focus on what you want most is not saying keep grinding and keep going no matter how you feel. It is saying prioritize who you want to be and focus on being that person in the present. Of course, with direction and an idea and a mission for where you're going and closing the gap between where you are and where you want to go. But that is the true definition of discipline in my mind. It doesn't have a singular definition, but it has an idea. And that idea is aligning with your best self and actually showing up as your best self. And just to close out this fast session already, I hope you have found some value in this. And I certainly have, just going back over it and seeing how it has reflected on my previous week and what it has allowed me to go over and go into and think about. I want to briefly speak upon how we can actually find this discipline and how we actually change this idea of discipline from we have to do to we get to do to we want to do, and that it is an action of love and not an action of mm, not responsibility or accountability, but rather obligation. And that's the word a lot of people probably would say that discipline is. It's an obligation. And perhaps you could say it is an obligation to become the best version of yourself, that you have to do this because you will not let your best self and your full potential down, right? That's why we're here. We need to close the gap between it if that's what you want. But you can change the energy of it by turning it into what you love doing, because you do it out of love. You do it out of a desire to become this person and not an obligation. And I think you do that by finding this vision of yourself and this version of yourself that you truly want to become. That it is driving you with love and not an obligation or not fear or not dissatisfaction, but that it is driving you with inspiration and love and intention towards who you want to be and the life you want to make a reality, the dreams you want to make a reality, and the aspirations you want to achieve. This is how you turn it to be a loving principle, right? You have it being rooted in your North Star and in your compass that is guiding you and showing you the way towards your best self and the life of your dreams. And in reality, it is an obligation for yourself if you want to create this life. But I think you should make it a priority for you to make it out of love instead of out of shame or obligation, because you're doing it for yourself as the main character in your own story. I think this week has been a great week for me to really dive into the depth of creating the person and the character that you want to be and the importance of it. And I hope you found some nuggets and principles in this session that you can take with you on your journey and continue on further with to enjoy the journey towards the mountain and along the mountainside, while embracing it and having gratitude for it, but still having the discipline to continue going towards where you want to go. I certainly have, and I would love sharing the journey with you even further. It's being an honor for me to share my experiences with you, and I hope to connect very soon. If you feel the same and you want to share this journey with other like minded people and connect with like minded people who are dreamers and visionaries and making their dreams a reality by overcoming these obstacles and sharing how they do so, then find more information about the Best Self community down in the description. And I think you will love it. And I know your best self will love it. I hope to see you soon again. And until then, I'm rooting for you.